Hello, everyone. Welcome to my senior capstone proposal presentation. As today we are going to be diving into self-identity within virtual communities. Start off, my name is Kaylee Kaua Kwan. I am a four-year student attending University of Hawaii West Oahu. I am a Nanakuli High and intermediate school graduate. I am a creative media major with a general concentration. In today's presentation, I will be discussing my plans for the senior capstone, my thesis statement, the objective, and the significance of my project. So this to start off, self-identity can be constructed within virtual spaces because these mediated environments facilitate processes of psychological development, which enables individuals to negotiate, experiment with, and refine aspects of the self through digital personas, social interaction, and community feedback. The reason why I wanted to research this topic, is because identity is such a key component in shaping who we are as a person and who we become. But with how times are changing, so can the exposure of what can truly shape us. And for me, I was an individual who struggled with finding who I am and what my identity is. So I wanted this to be for anyone who also went through the same struggles. The questions I had in mind for my research is, what is identity in the first place, and can it even be developed in this time of digital transformation? So for my senior capstone, it is going to have two components. So the creative writing is coming from the interviews that I will be conducting and collecting stories of people who has formed an identity through digital spaces. And with these stories, I can develop narrative pieces that reflect my interviewees' experiences and share them with the wider community. The second component is going to be the art piece. So the art piece is going to be other interviewees and how they see themselves through an online platform. And every art piece is going to have an embedded QR code that will guide these viewers to the stories that I have written and allow the public to read them in full. So, as we are going to talk about my significance, within my research, I have learned that identity is not a fixed concept, but rather it is a story in motion. So, every experience a person faces becomes a new chapter. Each moment is now a narrative that molds us. No two stories are the same, in which no two identities are developed the same way either. So, pulling from that, storytelling is a big factor in creating identity. So for this significance, I am going to be focusing on traditional storytelling. So Clearest writes that that storytelling helps us make sense of our past, navigate the present, and envision our future. These narratives define how we see ourselves, how we relate to others, and how we perceive our place in the world. They also continue on saying that someone who sees themselves as a survivor may interpret challenges as opportunities to prove their resilience, while someone who sees themselves as unlucky may see these same challenges as proof of their misfortune. So, what we can pull for this is that traditional storytelling is more rooted in the human presence because you're relying on your voice, the emotion, the timing, and basically the overall experience that you are sharing because you're living within that moment. And people can adjust their stories based off of the audience's reactions. And overall, traditional storytelling allows people to build community and relationships through presence. And I wanted to point out about the writer Clearest. So while his true identity of who he is anonymous, he undergoes the name of Clearest because that is his digital identity, because he still wants his work to be seen to others, which goes on to my next point, which is about digital storytelling. So this passage says that the rise of digital platforms has created additional spaces where identity can be expressed, negotiated, and transformed. However, it provides new ways to shape identity and tell a person's story, which increases the influence by systems that organize online content. And this is from a source that I gathered that says that such studies suggest that people believe their identities evoke different responses from social media algorithms, and that the algorithms become tailored to contradict and perhaps influence people's identities. So what we can pull from this is that digital storytelling is different from traditional storytelling because these people are relying on performance rather than authenticity. Because you are not sharing these stories in real time, these people are altering their stories in order to make them feel seen or get that attention that they want. So it lacks that authenticity or that genuineness that traditional storytelling has. You could think of it as a way that technology is molding them because they are relying on digital engagement and attention rather than human presence in real time. And your audience isn't going to be before you the way that traditional storytelling works, but rather it is going to be through likes and comments, not pure emotion. And with the study that I found from the National Library of Medicine, it is said that facial expressions are such a powerful factor or tool when it comes to non-communication because facial expressions also affects another individual's behavior, which makes them mimic the expressions that they are having due to the emotional states that is being shared between two or more people. So as you can see here, this is the graph that I pulled from how many social media platforms of how many users there are in the social media platforms. And this is of 2025, so it is fairly recent. Facebook is the highest with 2.9, and YouTube is right behind it with 2.5. And Tila writes that as of October 2025, 6.04 billion individuals worldwide were internet users, which amounted to 73.2% of the global population. Of this total, 5.66 billion, or 68.7% of the world's population, were social media users. Now, while it's not 90 or 80% of the world, 60 or 70 is still pretty high. The target audience for my project is that it can be for anyone and everyone, but if we were going to the specifics, I would say it would be for 25 and older. This can also be for creative media students because there's a lot of creative elements in here, as well as psychology students because it is dealing with development of identity, which also deals with the brain. This can also be for anyone who is, again, struggling with their identity. So I'm hoping that this project can be inspirational for them, which moves on to my next point of my proposed solution for that, because I want that, because this project is going to be served as a piece in being a reflection point for individuals and showing how society embraces technology. So for my preparation in the pre-production, I will be defining who I'll be interviewing and then gather that data by using an activity I have created to get basic information of an interviewee. During the production, I'll be conducting interviews with the candidates to get an in-depth understanding, and this can be also where I'm creating the written pieces. However, for the post-production, this can be where I'm working with the individuals in creating their characters for the art piece and start embedding the stories into QR codes as this is going to be a collaborative piece. Because while I am getting their voices and their stories, I also want their hands on it as well. Which moves on to my deliverable. So here I have what the activity is going to be look like for the pre-production. It might get altered in the future, but for now that this is the basic idea I have of it. I want this activity to be fun for the candidates. So the way that they're going to be answering these prompts is going to be how their character would react or answer it. And then this will also give me an idea of what their character is going to look like, which moves on to the post-production of what I want the product to look like. So it's going to be a mix between these two images. So basically the portrait is going to be of the character, but then there's going to be a QR code, and within the QR code, you are able to see what the person looks like in real life and then the character that we have created. And below it is going to be the story that we have tailored together, if you will. And I want to thank you all for listening to my presentation. Do you have any questions?